you are doing well in this lockdown. I'm teacher Madhuri. Let us start today with Class 4 History. Chapter 1, The Sources of History. The key concepts that we will be learning in this particular topic are the sources of history, literary sources, archaeological sources and oral sources, and the need to preserve these sources. Before we proceed further, students, I would like to put across a question to you all. Tell me, how can we find out about the past of our family? I want you all to pause and think over this question for a minute. Yes, old family photographs. They tell us a lot about the past of our family. We learn how our parents and grandparents used to look when they were young, what they used to wear, who were their friends, and many such things. Sometimes we may find some old items in our house that give us an idea of the past, such as old utensils, furnitures, toys, diaries, letters, and many more. We may also ask our parents and grandparents about their childhood memories. So all these things, utensils, photographs, toys, letters, diaries, are clues to the past. These clues are the sources of our family history. Now let us learn the sources of history. Clues like jewelry, coins, utensils, toys, weapons and statues are the sources of history. They tell us how, when and why events happened in the past. These clues are the sources of history. Historians and archaeologists find out these clues, interpret them and tell us about the past. The sources of history are of three kinds: literary sources, archaeological sources and oral sources. Let us learn about the literary sources. Let us learn about literary sources. The written records help us to know about the past. These sources can be divided into two types: religious literature and secular literature. After the invention of writing, the ancient people began to write on the palm leaves, barks of the trees, silk cloth and clay tablet. Most of these handwritten records got destroyed with time. After the invention of paper, people began to write on paper. Such handwritten records on palm leaves, the barks of the trees, silk cloth are called manuscripts. Religious literature. Writings which deal with religion are called religious literature. The four Vedas, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda and Athar Veda, they are an important source of information about the Aryans in India. The two great epics, the Ramayana tells us about Lord Rama. The Mahabharata narrates the story of 5 Pandavas. The Upanishads and the Puranas are a rich source of information on Hindu religion. Similarly, the Jatakas and Tripitakas of the Buddhist, the Angas and the Purvas of the Jains also give us many historical details. Secular literature. Literature which are not religious is called secular. Secular literature. Literature that is not religious is called secular literature. The accounts of foreign travelers. The two Chinese travelers, Fa Hien and Huan San, are important in understanding the history of ancient India. As I told you in the last video, the history of India is divided into three periods: ancient, medieval and modern periods. So the accounts of these two travelers help us to understand the history of ancient India. Similarly, poems, plays and stories give us an insight into history. Biographies. Sometimes a king himself used to write about his life, deeds and achievements in his book, or order someone else to write. Such book is called a biography. For example, King Babur, he himself wrote a book by name Baburnama, where he has mentioned that he became the king when he was only 12 years old. He also spoke about his love towards the nature. Archaeological sources. The material remains of the past are known as archaeological sources. These sources are of four kinds: coins, monuments, artifacts and inscriptions. Now let us learn about coins. The study of coins is known as numismatics. Coins. Coins provide us a lot of information about the past. The study of coins is known as numismatics. So these are the coins that belong to the past. When you look at the coin, we come to know about the name. The name tells us about the king who made it. The picture tells us, or the image tells us, how the king looked. The date tells us about the time. Writing. Through writing, we come to know about the language that were spoken during that period. Metal. Now, metal tells us about the status of a particular kingdom. That is, if the coins were made of gold, it showed that the kingdom was very wealthy. Now, let us study about the present coin. As we know, a coin provides a lot of information about the past. Now let us study a coin which is presently used in India. I hope student you all have seen and used this coin. Now, the first and foremost thing, this coin is used in India, so it speaks about country. What is the value of the coin? The value of the coin is ₹5. You come to know about the languages. There are two languages which are printed on the coin. One is in Hindi and the other one is in English. Through pictures, we come to know whose pictures are printed on this coin. In the first picture, we see the picture of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He was the first Prime Minister of India. On the reverse side of the coin, we get to see the national emblem of India, that is Ashoka's lion capital of Sarnath. We also come to know through the year, in which year this coin was minted. So this coin was minted in 1989. Now I would like to add little more information on this coin. In India, at 4 places, coins are minted. That means coins are made. One is in Mumbai, second Hyderabad, third Noida and fourth Kolkata. Now how we will come to know that this coin is minted in which place? So the mint mark is printed below the year. If this coin is minted in Mumbai, then it will have a diamond shape. If this coin is minted in Hyderabad, then it will have star as the mint mark. If it is minted in Noida, then it will have a circle or a dot below the year. And if there are no mint mark below the year, then it is understood that it is minted in Kolkata. Now we will learn about monuments. Old buildings which are historically important are called monuments. They tell us about the time when they were built and about the people who built them. For example, Taj Mahal is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It was built by Shah Jahan in the memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. They took nearly 20 years to complete the construction of Taj Mahal. This speaks about the glorious period of Mughal Empire in India. The next archaeological source is artifacts. The objects that human made and used in the past are called artifacts. Potteries, toys, utensils, jewelry, coins, tools, weapons are the artifacts. Now, for example, the tools and weapons that were used in the past can tell us which metals were known to the people during past. Similarly, through toys and small clay models of animals can help us to understand the animals that were used during those days. Inscriptions. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. Inscriptions are written records found on the surface of stones, rocks, pillars, walls of monuments and clay tablets. These are the pictures of inscriptions. The inscriptions of Emperor Ashoka have been found across India. The inscriptions on stones and pillars tell us about his war, the kings he defeated, about his life and his kingdom. Oral sources. These sources are not written down but orally passed down from one generation to another. The stories, poems, songs and folk tales were passed down orally from one generation to another are called oral sources. Even these sources carry some clues of the past. It is very important to preserve these sources, literary sources and archaeological sources. So, these sources are windows to the past. So, it is our duty to preserve these sources very carefully. Need to preserve these sources. These sources means archaeological sources and literary sources. It is very important to preserve these sources very carefully because these sources are windows to the past. All the written documents are preserved in a place called archive. The National Archives of India was established in New Delhi in 1920. Similarly, many small and big museums are located in different cities of India. where artifacts are kept carefully. These days, archaeologists and scientists work very closely to repair and restore various archaeological remains that are damaged. Now, let us quickly revise. History tells us about people who lived in the past and the events that happened a long time ago. The people who study and write about the past are called historians. An archaeologist digs the ground to find the remains of the past and studies them to gather information. The study of artifacts and the buildings from earlier times is known as archaeology. The act of digging out the remains of the past is called excavation. Thank you.